When my son came out to me in '95, explained 10 years of his difficult adolescent years, suicidal, not because he's gay, but because I raised him according to the gospel of James Dobson. Played the self-righteous role. And there was no place in his world for being gay. Called us up and says, I'm gay. And I says, well, you can't be gay. Somebody didn't raise you that way. And he says, well, why'd you choose that? And he says, Dad, you don't get it. After hours of conversation on the phone, I says, okay, didn't choose to be gay. We'll pay for therapy to get you fixed. Why, Dad, you don't get it. If I didn't change it, how can I unchange it? And after a while, he says, okay, I get that. I said, okay, the church's position is clear. Being gay is not a sin. You just remain celibate. You don't get it, Dad. I'm human. I said, what do you mean? I want to live with the love of another person, like you with the love of Mom. I don't want to live my life without that kind of love. Could you remain celibate, Dad, your whole life if you had to? I didn't want to answer that question because I knew when I did, he just pulled the rug out from my life.
We're fixing a problem that really doesn't appear to exist.
I was fired for being gay, and I'm not the only one.
Other initiatives have been launched for equality across the country and also in Michigan, even hitting the ballot in Kalamazoo, and now a similar proposal for equality in Holland.
Well, I had moved from Grand Rapids to Holland a few months before, and I knew Grand Rapids had an ordinance like 20 years before, and I thought, well, I wonder if Holland has one. So I went before the city council and just said, if you guys don't have one, I'm wondering if you could consider it and pass one. And I didn't realize that was going to create or open a big can of worms in the city of Holland. I didn't think gay rights was all that unusual, but apparently for the city of Holland, I guess it is.
Reverend Bill Freeman just innocently came to the mic and said, hey, do we have an ordinance that protects gays and lesbians and bisexual and transgendered people for housing and for employment? And it seemed like a very kind of a simple question at the time. And, I don't know, maybe, I don't think we do, but if we should have, maybe that's something the Human Relations Commission should take a look at. So we forwarded it to them.
I watched fairly closely and saw a pretty good view of the database that the Human Relations Commission used. They looked at other cities, what other cities had done. They looked at local incident reports.
The Human Relations Commission, which, as Al introduced, met over 20 times in 1 year, listened to expert testimony, citizen concerns, and studied the best available research, and came to the unanimous conclusion, plus the two teenagers, I was there, who asked to please be put on record that they also supported this ordinance. They agreed that there was a need to add sexual orientation and gender identity to the Fair Housing and Equal Employment Opportunity ordinances. Notice that they are not asking for special rights for any group, but equal rights for all of us. We all have a sexual orientation and a gender identity.
I was raised by very Catholic parents, so I kind of had that religious aspect in my thought process, kind of, but very thankfully, my parents raised me to believe that everybody's equal. With my son especially, he is gay. When he was 8 years old, he was hit by a car very severely. And AeroMed was called in, and he actually died en route to Spectrum. And they revived him. And he had severe brain injuries, a multiple break in his arms. His jaw was broken. He's a miracle. He came out of Mary Free Bed and just wanted to go to school. He was 8 years old, and I took him straight from Mary Free Bed to his school. He was my gift. I got a second chance with him. And he's probably the reason that I am very vocal and supportive on the gay rights issues and equality. Because I don't think there's anybody out there that can tell me he does not deserve the same rights as anybody else.
Scripture is clear that those who practice the gay lesbian lifestyle are among those who shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven.
People really deserve to have equal rights. And it doesn't matter what your religion is, it doesn't matter what color you are, what orientation you are.
Homosexual activists love to equate their situation to the great civil rights movements of the past. The problem is that they share none of the characteristics of race, place of birth, economic condition, gender, which those minorities possess.
The fact that citizens feel that they have a right to openly state bigoted comments in letters or editorials published in the newspaper or speak them orally in public meetings testifies to the need for protection of LGBTQ people in this community.
But God is also a holy God, and he's going to deal with sin. He's going to burn it out of his creation. He hates it. It cost him blood.
I ended up discouraged because it appeared many had no idea of the toll it takes to be gay in a community that does not want to protect you.
If you want to talk about homosexuality and all this corruption, do it on your own time. Do it in your own home. I'm proud to be an American, and that's the way I'm going to stay till my last day. Thank you.
I read an article in the Sentinel one day that the City Council denied the HRC's recommendation. And I just sat back and had to read that 3 times. And I thought, this is not right. Something's not right here. And I want to be involved. I want to, figure out what went on, why it happened, and what I could do about it to change it.
Once it was voted on and then people started hearing about it, then, the gays and lesbians in town and people that care about equality, period, started speaking out about it. And then that's when they formed the organization, Until Love is Equal, to try to get the city council to change their minds.
What do we want? Marriage equality! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Marriage equality! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Marriage equality! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Marriage equality! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Marriage equality! When do we want it? Now!
Our role in all of this is to continue the conversation. When it started, some of the councilors who voted no, especially Councilor Birch, said that this was an important first step in voting no to continuing a dialogue about this. And in a weird way, that's been our MO. So the way that our role has manifested itself is to do interesting things that include a lot of people and get everyone talking. And it wasn't necessarily what we set out to do, because if you had told me on June 16, 2011, that we would potentially still be at this 2 years later in 2013, I wouldn't have believed it. I wouldn't have believed that it could take more than 6 months to turn this around. But our role is not to urge political change by itself. Our role is to create a dialogue where people are comfortable doing that.
I don't think the people of the city of Holland, or certainly those 5 city council members, can ignore what's happening in the country. I think at some point they have to wake up and smell the coffee and say, oh, I guess times they are a-changin', and maybe even the city of Holland should change with them.
The younger generation will have a big influence in that change, but it's just trying to get some of the ropes away from that older generation.
The more that people see that we're here, the more that people will see that we're just like you are, we're just like everybody else, and all we ask is that we be treated equally, just like you are.